Hey folks, John from Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business, coming to you from the Cattle Barn. We're going to do something cool today, guys. We're going to do a live build of a computer right here while customers are wandering around. So granted, they're probably going to be like, hey, what's this guy doing talking to himself? But you know what? You guys have seen me do it before, so it shouldn't surprise them too much. So here's what we're going to do. Nina, my daughter, you guys have seen her occasionally. She comes in here and she says, Dad, I want to build my first gaming computer, but it's got to be powerful, but I got to stay in a budget. So let me show you what we're going to do here. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a totally different case. I've never tried this one before, but she kind of thought it was cool. So check this out. This is the Monster 2 Prime by Raidmax. Now, you know what we're talking about, guys, here. A lot of power, a lot of cooling, and Raidmax. So there can't be anything wrong with this. We're going to get a kick out of this one. But this whole video, this case is really what my focus is. I know everything else about the components we're using, but this is new one to me. So, all right. The next thing we're going to use, we're going to go with a Ryzen 7 2700X. Now, granted, this one ought to be plenty of power for what we're doing. Absolutely. And you know, she does a whole lot of graphic editing. She does a lot of video rendering, and she's a heavy gamer. So, 2700X, 8-core, solid as a rock. We're going that route. Of course, we're going to have a motherboard, and I'm pretty sure everybody out there has seen the ASRock. Everybody knows about the B450M. Rock solid motherboard, no pun intended, and very, very, very good for what we're building. So we're going to go that route. Had to have some RAM, isn't that right, guys? So we're going to go with 16 gigs PowerX. Yeah, more power for the money. Definitely going to get the job done. Got to have a power supply for this bad boy. So we're going with the Apavia. Now you guys have seen me use these before, but we're going with the 750 watt. If you'll recall, the last time we did this, the power supply didn't have the correct connector to be able to actually connect to the video card we were using. We've solved that problem with this one. And then of course, we have to have a motherboard. Now, or excuse me, a motherboard, I'm losing my mind here, a video card. And we are going with the AMD Radeon 5600 XT. Guys, this is a bulletproof video card. If you don't want to go below 1,500 bucks on one, but you still want solid performance that blows the 580 out of the water, that's the way to go. So for economy versus price. Now for our hard drives, we're going to be using a 256 gigabyte NVMe drive, and then she's got 4 1 terabyte hard drives in her current computer. We're just going to transfer those on over there so that we've got the data on those too. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started on this. So I want to check out this case. I've been looking at this thing and doing some reviews on it, and it looks like it's pretty darn solid. So we're going to see what we got going here. Tell you one thing, it's beefy. It's definitely something you're going to work out on. All right, let's crack this bad boy open and see what we got going here. Now, like I said, you guys are going to get some background noise. You're going to hear people wandering around. That's because we are doing this live with customers in the building. Always wanted to try this, so should have some fun with it. All right. Oh, guys, this case is awesome. Let's check this thing out. I did not know it was this color. All right. Look at this, guys. This is a legit full tower case. This motherboard is going to look really tiny inside this thing. Holy cow. Tempered glass side. Look at that. That is gorgeous. All right, now first, on the primary inspection, one thing I am liking is that on the front here, we've got a lot of ventilation pulling in, and it looks like it's got 205 millimeter fans. Pull that plastic off. You know, normally I leave that for the customer, but in this case it's Nina, so no, she doesn't get that. All right, let's turn it around to the back here. As you guys can see, this was definitely designed for expansion. So your power supply is going down here. The motherboard's going in here. Now, my guess is we're only going to hit about the third slot with that particular board, but you could go with a full-size board in this with no trouble whatsoever. So it is definitely tempered glass, which I do like, and I like that look, guys. I mean, check that thing out. That is just slick. All right, so that's going to be our case. We're going to set that down here. I was grabbing that thinking, boy, I hope that's handled. All right, let's prep this motherboard, shall we? All right. Now, you guys have seen me use the B450M on a lot of builds in the past. And the truth is, the reason I use them is because they just don't fail. I mean, you get any kind of a failure rate on these is so low, it's negligible. So, all right. So in this box, of course, you're going to get your I/O shield. You're going to get your cabling for your SATA. driver's disc, yeah, comes with it. And of course, we'll get down here to the creme de la creme, the actual board itself. Alrighty. Check that out, guys. And like I said, it's a very small board. It's going to look super tiny inside this monster case, but that's okay. Alright, let's get this all prepped up. Put that in there. By the way, guys, a lot of you guys have seen on my YouTube videos, and if you haven't, you guys know I'll link them down here also, but this one's also going to be cross-linked to YouTube. I don't typically do this live. There's some editing that comes out because I like to walk in and out of the room and all that stuff, but I wanted you guys to see it live one time. So, alright, let's take our processor. Now, this processor comes with a Wraith Spire cooling fan. Typically, you don't need a whole lot more than that because these the 2700Xs don't run that hot. So that's actually a good thing. We could have liquid cooled this, it just wasn't necessary for what she's going to be doing with it. So we won't worry about that. All right, let's crack this bad boy open and see what we got. Okay, so this is that cooling fan. Now, just to give you an idea, and a lot of you guys that aren't computer people can check this out. If that's the processor, but your cooling fan basically looks like a jet engine. Check this thing out, guys. That's how you know you're a little overkill. Now, inside these, you got to be careful because on the bottom, and I'm hoping you guys are seeing this, there's actually thermal paste on there. Now, typically, that's an ample amount, but I usually will put a little bit more on there in order to dissipate that heat. So, we're going to do that. All right, put the box down here. Now, in here is your processor. We are going to go ahead and mount this processor now. You'll notice we're not on my typical anti-static mat, but I've got this sitting on this anti-static foam right here, and that's where we're going to keep it. So, all right, we're going to open up this little lever. Now, the cooling fan itself, a lot of these will not use the stock mounting brackets for the fan. That's what you see right here. And they'll come with something to swap them out, particularly when you're liquid cooling. But in this case, the stock mounts on the cooling fan will actually mount to here, so we're not going to have to change that. So, all right, let's get this thing mounted. By the way, I keep all the paperwork. It's like, it's one of those things I'll keep in the bag, but you'll never ever use or even see. But I think it's kind of cool to hang on to it, don't you? All right, so we're going to mount this. Now, for those who don't know, on the processor, there's actually a notch that is different than the other three, and it lines up with the notch on the motherboard. So we are going to line that notch up right there, and drop her down and lock it in place. That's all there is to that part. All right. So you always think PC building is so difficult, but at the end of the day, it's pretty simple, pretty common sense when you break it down. All right, so we're going to go ahead and mount this. Now, one side will go down and latch, then the other side will fold down and clip with this latch right here. Here we go. Latch that on, slide it down, put the other side on, just like that, and lock it in place. There you go, that's all there is to that. Now what we're going to do is, your actual fan will hook up to the motherboard right here, and I'm hoping that the camera's actually catching that because I know it's kind of small. In order to kind of save a little space, we're going to coil this cable once, and then we're going to drop it in right there. All right. Okay, so now you've got your CPU mounted, you've got your fan mounted, you've got it plugged in and ready to go. So let's go ahead and add the RAM onto it to get that out of the way. So we'll get these moved. Let's get our 16 gigabytes of RAM out here. Ah, guys, don't you hate these blister packs that they seal? Ugh, drives me crazy. Because you got to cut them open. There's just no way around it. By the way, guys, if you are commenting, and I know some of you probably are, I cannot see the comments right now because the camera's facing me and Nina's actually operating the camera. So if there are comments, I promise I will rewatch the video and I'll answer them all, so don't worry about that. All right, cracking this open. Once again, I am not a fan of these blister packs. There we go. Man, they make these things for Hercules, can't get into them. I guess they figure they're shipping it through the mail, somebody might steal it. There we go. Now this RAM is really pretty, guys. Now, I will tell you, this has LED lighting. These do not. And I'll remember something that I was taught a long time ago, Chrome don't get you home. So The LED lighting is cool and all that, but at the end of the day, this is going to be sitting under her desk, and she doesn't really care about the looks of the piece, and she cares about the functionality of the power. So that's why we're going that route. All right, so we're going to mount the RAM. I know you guys cannot see this. RAM only mounts in the slots one direction. You can't put it in backwards. It's impossible. It won't fit. There we go. We'll get both slots in there. Hey, that's looking pretty slick right there. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mount the plug for the LED lighting on this. Now, it'll randomly change colors as it's playing, but once again, totally unnecessary. It's just one of those things that's kind of cool. Now, you're going to get two different cables in here. One of these is designed to plug directly into the motherboard, into one of the fan slots, and one of them can actually plug into a controller if you've got an LED controller on there to change the patterns and all that other stuff. Now, we are probably not going to do that. Now, in fact, looking at the case, we've got two more mountings for actual fans, which is what this plugs into. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one from the side over here, and we're going to use that as a USB. Hang on one second here. All right. And we'll plug her in up here, and I'll actually, once again, we'll do a little coil on this to make sure that it's nice. And hopefully you guys are catching all that. I know that I'm kind of kneeling out of the camera view there. Okay. Go. And plug that right in there. Now, the next thing we're going to do, okay, we're going to go ahead and coil this up right here. It's not super necessary, but once again, for cabling, you want to keep it clean in here because, you know, excess cabling and all that makes diagnostics of problems harder. It also makes it look really bad. You know? And if you get too much cabling in there without cleaning it up, you can actually constrict airflow. And as we all know with PCs, that's death. So, all right, we're going to go right there with this. All right, so the LED lighting on this is actually drawing its power off of one of the internal USB ports that's available. So that's what we're using on that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get into this case, and we're going to mount this, this motherboard in place because you can see it's ready. Obviously, we don't want to put the video card in because we're going to have to manipulate all that, so we don't want to do that. So here we go. I'm going to move this aside. You guys remind me that's back there, so I'm going to sit on it, right? All right, let's bring our case up here. Clean up our work area a tad here. Get rid of that. We're going to need those. And pitch that. All right. Turn this around, show you guys the front. Pick that up on there. Wow, those are heavy. That fell in the box. Look at this, guys. I want to show you why I keep dropping that, if you can see that. That is the shortest little screw. So when you pull them out, they go flying. And I'm pretty sure the way they build these things, this is not just going to pop you out and things. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. That is tempered glass, guys. That's not plastic. It's wonderful. All right, we're going to set that aside over here. All right. And grab this. That fell over here. Well, let me forget I got one in the box, too. So. Okay, so we're going to flip this down. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pull the back of this case off, too, so we can do some cabling on the back side. I may make her finish out her cabling, so we'll get to that later. All right, now, this is the box. If I had to guess, this box contains the rails to mount the hard drives as well as external screws. Yep, there's some screws, there's some rails and some mounting brackets, and yeah, that's what this is. So, all right, we'll probably use all that. We're going to leave it there. All right, so let's lay this down. Now, I know you guys are not going to be able to get a good view of this. I'm going to see if we can move the camera forward and kind of tilt it down so you can see into this case and see what we're working with here. All right. So, once again, I know that it's not going to be super clear to see what we got going on down here. We'll raise the camera a little bit. We do this right here. Okay, should be able to. Let's see. There we go. All right, we're going to try to raise you up, guys. Excuse the little jump there. There we go. Now, we should be able to angle down and give you just a little bit better view down into this case. All right, so what we've got is this is the back of the case on this side, guys. So the way the motherboard mounts, first you're going to insert your I/O shield. Now, this is the one that actually allows you to access your ports internally without leaving a gigantic hole out the back of your computer. All right, so we're going to get that. You know what, before we forget, guys, and I probably will, I'm going to get that other screw that jumped down into this box a minute ago. There it is. Now, the I/O shield will only go in one way because obviously the ports on the motherboard are only one way. So all you got to do is make sure you got that lined up properly and you're good. Okay. And it's going to be like so. And you can't really put it in wrong, because if you put it in wrong, the lettering on the I/O shield from the back of the computer is actually going to be upside down. So you can't really make a mistake. And you guys just heard that snaps right into place. All right, now we're going to mount the motherboard. Now, I'm going to tilt this up a tad, guys. As you can see, there are already mounting posts that are mounted in here. We may need this one and this one. I'm going to check that right now. But this is a smaller board, so we may not. And yes, we are. We're going to need those two right there. So normally what we can do is they'll include a couple of spares on the side, which ironically, if you've got an iFixit screwdriver, take out the attachment, that fits those little things perfectly. All right, so we're going to take those, and I want to see also if we've got a couple of spares, which I'm sure we do. They give you a pretty extensive little kit here. Let's see. There we go. All right, one sec. I'm going to grab one more thing, guys. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Oh, so we were talking about the solid state drive we're going to be using. This is actually the Kingston 240 gigabyte. This is going to be the primary hard drive. For those who don't know, you're going to want a solid state drive all the time as your primary because they are a lot faster than even serial ATA drives. So, all right, let's pull that out of here, get this realigned, and we will mount this board and get this thing going. And I'll tell you, this case is heavy. And Nina's actually watching me from behind there. This thing is heavy. And when we mount the power supply and everything else, this is probably gonna weigh 25 pounds, maybe more. So, you hear me over there? All right. And based on the size of this, guys, you could easily get a full-size board in here without a problem. So, all right, there we go. And that's done. Now the fan, it looks like from the factory they actually poke the fan connectors through the back. And in a way I kind of like this because number one, it gives you the ability to plug into a controller, but it's also a little easier to manage because this is the one that would actually plug, I hope you can see this, this is the one that will actually plug into the motherboard. That's probably the one that we're going to use, but you could plug it into your power supply if your power supply has got any connectors back here and save your motherboard connections. So actually we may do that. It'd be nice to have that extra connection up front if we decide later to add, you know, LEDs or whatever. So, all right, so let's take our motherboard, and I'm gonna set this right here, guys. I hope you're getting a good view of that. It's kind of hard to see. So, right here, you've got what's called the M.2 slot. This is the slot that you're gonna actually insert that M.2 hard drive. And we're gonna do that, since now I have it in my hand, before we get too much further into this. Because this is the primary hard drive. I'm a big believer in these. Of course, anybody that's been doing this for a while will tell you this is the only way to go when you're actually doing a new system. So, all right, so that slides in right there. And I'm willing to bet that if we look over here, there's going to be a teensy-tiny little screw. And when I say teensy-tiny, guys, are you seeing this? Look how teensy that is. I mean, teensy, like barely can even see it small. It's real easy when you get these systems to lose that bag just thinking it was empty. So that happens. All right, so we're going to take this screwdriver and we're going to take our little screw for our NVMe drive. And once again, I said teensy tiny. You want to make sure your screwdriver is magnetic or you will lose that. And we're going to screw our little driver right down there. All right, so now our primary hard drive has been installed. That's pretty simple, right? Now, let's mount our motherboard. Now, you see your connectors right here. They're going to line up with everything that's on the back side here, and that's what we're shooting for. So, you want to place it in place, and you want to look at the back, and you want to line up all of the ports. If the ports in the back line up, then your screw holes on the inside are going to line up. And they actually come with all the screws here, so we're going to mount this down. Now guys, we're going to get this thing put together. I am going to save you the hassle of actually having to watch Windows 10 load, because it's kind of like watching paint dry. But this will at least give you the basic idea of what we're doing and what kind of system we are building for. And it is going to be a beast, that is for sure. There we go. Once again, hopefully you guys are getting a good view of that. I know we're a little compact, a little small in here, but let's see. Now we could have gone with an actual solid state drive as the primary, but the M.2s are quite a bit faster and very reliable. I mean, they're bulletproof. They are now. They didn't always used to be, but they have gotten better over time. All right, there we go. All right, that's perfect. Check them out. Sure you got them. Missing one right there. Okay. All right, now when I was going to show you guys this, so we were talking about how little this board is going to look in this case. Look at that. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, it's going to look really small. Okay, so now that we've got this mounted in here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and mount the power supply. That's going to be our next part. It's going to mount right here. As you can see, there's a hole right there. And it's going to come in from the back, and it's going to butt up here. We're going to screw it in right here. So here we go. I'm going to put that down. We're going to crack open that power supply. There it is. I mean, wherever I set it. You know how this is. When you go live, there's no room for error. So, well, actually, there's lots of room for error. It just makes for a comical shot. Go. Yeah, this thing is beefy, guys. Now, I'm going to tell you, this power supply is not modular, and I want to tell you what that means. It is a gold-rated power supply, but if you get a power supply that's modular, what you get is on the back, you're going to have no cable coming out of it, but you're going to have plugs down here. And that way you can use only the plugs you want to. In this particular case, this one is not modular because it's cheaper. I mean, you could save yourself a good $40, $50 by just getting a standard power supply. So that's what we did in this case. Now, at the end of the day, it won't really matter. The only reason it really matters is cabling. That's the primary concern. So, all right, slide this in. And trust me, with this many cables, cabling can become an issue. As you see, when you slide it in, it sits on little rubber feet, and it will line up with those holes right there. All right, take your screws and screw that in. I'm going to verify our shot up here, guys, to make sure that we're still getting good angles. And I know that, like I said, I know that a lot of this is going to be a little all over the place because it's tough to get super tight without using Stumpy. You guys have seen that, my bench camera in there. But we don't have Stumpy out here. We're using a phone. And that will be just fine. All right, so now we got our power supply mounted. All right, just like that. Now, on the back of the power supply, if you'll recall, we were talking about this fan and the ability to plug this into one of the adapters that's on here. Well, fortunately, this particular company typically has at least one slot that has got this old school connector on it, which means that you can actually connect your fan up back here and conceal it and save the onboard motherboard slots for other devices. So that's what we're going to do with that one. All right, so let's go ahead and get our motherboard powered up and connected. Now, there's a 4-pin connector on the back of the motherboard right about here, and you want to go through this to get to it. So, gotta locate that board, or that cable rather. This is your main PCB motherboard connection. It's going to go right through there. Hang on. And I'm going to try to show you guys how we're hooking this up as we go, guys. I know that the angles are a little squirrely, like I said, but we're going to do the best. All right. Gotta love the power supply. It's got these cute little arrows on it that tell you which way the cabling goes, as if you couldn't tell. Couldn't put it in the other way. Now you could try. Get a big enough hammer, I guess. There we go. All right, plug that one in right there. And let's get our 4-pin up from the front. There we go. By the way, this table is definitely not optimal for PC builds, but it's functional, and that's what counts. Okay. Yeah, this thing's actually got a lot of PCI Express slots, or cables, which is good. All right, so as you can see, these are 4-pin connectors. They're identical. Some motherboards actually will use 8. This one only uses 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to run that cable through that hole where the fan came through, right there. And it's going to plug straight down on the board. Now let me get this connected and I'll show you what it's going to look like here. All right. And some people would probably, I mean, you can do this second, after you put, or before you put your fan on. It might make it a little easier if you're running a Wraith Spire just because of the size of the fan, but it's not overly difficult either way. So all right, I'm going to show you guys. So as you can see now, we've got the motherboard mounted in there. This is actually the power down to the board, the 4-pin. This is the primary power down to it. And this is our USB connection for our LED lighting on our fan. Our fan is actually powered up over here. That's our M.2 hard drive, and we're ready to move to the next step. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to plug in the cabling that connects up the front ports. So the USB ports on the front, along with the power, the reset, and all the other LED lights on the front. So let's locate where those came in here, and they are right here, zip tied. Now, like I said, I'm probably going to let Nina do a lot of her own cabling here. So my job is to make it functional, and then she is going to make it pretty. Maybe. You gonna make it pretty, Nina? Promise? All right, so hopefully you guys are seeing this. These are the cables that actually plug into the motherboard that give you access to the front ports and the top ports here for audio, USB, so on and so forth. This is the front side USB 3.0, and you can always tell because it's blue, all right? And on these, it's written on there what they are. So hard drive LED, reset, power switch, and power LED, okay? So we're gonna run those through. Based on how small this board is, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna come down here, behind this cable, and up through, there's a hole right here that leads into the motherboard, okay? So, and that'll be a little less the cable, because then you can use cable straight down this line right here, which will look really, really good. See, like that. That's what we're gonna shoot for. All right, we're gonna bring this in here, and I'll show you on the other side where we're running in just a second. This in here, and this in here. All right, so back around here to the front. Let me check that camera angle one more time, make sure we're good. All right, so I don't know if you guys are able to see this, but what we did is we came up through this hole right next to the power supply, okay? And the USB 3.0, you cannot plug these in wrong. They're labeled on the board, and the cable will only plug into one specific port, so you don't have to be too terribly concerned. Now, if you run into cables that are too short, just reroute your cables, guys. It's not a big deal. And I'll give you an example. The USB 3.0 cable right here is at its maximum tightness right here, but as you can see, if I plug it in there, we're going to have a lot of tension on that wire. So that, we're going to run up through here and join it. We're going to zip tie it with the primary power cable. It's going to go right there. And that'll take all the stress off. We'll tie these two cables together so it'll look great when it comes through. Okay? Now this is the HD audio. Now this looks a lot like the USB, guys, but the difference is where that blank plug is located. So you can't plug it wrong on the board. As you can see, if you try to plug it wrong, there's a blank plug on the end, but this one's in the middle. It won't plug in. So the audio has got its own jack, and it is right here. And she's been really excited for. What's the first game you're going to play on this? What do you think? Sims? You guys heard it. Sims. Okay, I can live with that. I can live with that. All right, now I can't really show you guys. It's really small, but for all of the power switch, the power LED, and all that, it's written on the motherboard. You can't really miss it. As long as you plug it in the way it says on the board, you can't go wrong. So I'll plug these in real quick, and then I'll give you a look at it. Now remember, the look I'm going to give you is this is pre-cleanup. Obviously we're going to be doing some recabling on it to make it pretty. But for right now, we're going for functional. All right. And our hard drive LED goes right there. And our power button. Little bitty pins. Reset switch goes right here. And power. Okay. And I will show you guys what this looks like from the side before we cable it all down. Okay, so here's what you got. So this is your HD audio going in right here. This is actually all 4 of those plugs you just saw in it. You can probably make it out in that very little corner right there. You can actually see the LED, hard drive LED, power button, and the reset switch. And that's what we've got plugged in right now. So now these connectors are the serial ATA connectors. These are going to connect to the internal hard drives that she's currently got. So what we're going to do is we're going to mount her hard drives in these slots. And she's going to use those for her secondary storage because her primary is obviously for her operating system is going to be on that M.2 drive. So here's what we're going to do. Since most of this cabling that's left on this side is going to come down, we're going to go ahead and mount the video card. Now this is one I have been looking forward to, guys. I really want to see what this looks like. I don't have this card. Actually, the one I've got's a little higher end than this, but it was also 4 times more expensive. So we'll see. We'll see. I have zero doubt this will run any VR there is out there. Not that she does, although we do have VR at the house. She could, theoretically. We can run some VR? All you gotta do is drag the VR cable, plug it in. She's trying to be shy, guys, so we gotta make her talk over there. All right, let's see what we got in this box, guys. Let's see. Empty! Gotta love a space saver. Okay. Warranty cards and information. Wow. This thing is beefy. Okay. Look at the size of this video card, guys. I'm gonna give you in context, that's actually about the same size as the motherboard. This is a beefy card. So let's take a look at this. Holy cow. Here, Nina, come here. Grab this and peel off your own little sticker here. You got to peel off your own sticker. It's a rite of passage. All right. There you go. You do it right there. She's going to peel her stickers there. Meantime, I'm going to go over here and get set up for the next one. That's Nina's hands, by the way. Don't worry. One of these days, she's going to come say hi to us. Yeah, she'll definitely come say hi to us. Hey, we're live on Facebook. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, this is her. Yeah, if you guys get down here, he's actually in the back 40. You can't miss him. All the way to the back of the building, hang a left, he's right there. What are you playing with?
Let's see if this works.
Okay. Oh, look at that, guys. Look at that. Oh, one more. Get that one. All right. This is Nina's new gaming computer we're building.
Oh, that's what that
And
is.
everybody's getting to watch us do it. There you go. Oh. So she has been, I got to tell you, she's been stuck in a, what is it, a 1650 video card for so long, guys, that this is to say it's a world different would be a very minor statement. This is going to be a totally different galaxy for her. Look at that card. That is gorgeous. All right, so let's pull out this protector and let's pop this in here and see what it looks like. Holy cow. Now it looks like we are going to need the first 2 slots. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to crack this open. We're going to raise this plate up. And we are going to remove the first 2 screws right here. Hopefully you guys are catching that. Once again, I know the angles are bad, guys. We're trying our best here. All right, pull that one. Video card is gorgeous, guys. Yeah, you know, my normal go-to gaming... Everybody say hi to Christina. Come here, Christina, come here.
Oh no.
Come on. Hey guys, see, this is the advantage of doing this live. You gotta kind of kneel. Nina's got an angle down here. This is Christina, my wife. Let me see if we can see her. Hold on, guys. Let's see. Hang on. Let's see if we see her. Gotta kneel down. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
A little more. There you are.
Hi.
So yeah, for those of you who don't know, that's Christina. She actually runs the snack bar here. So you gotta come on down here and try some of the yummies we got going on.
And the managing.
And oh yeah, she's also the manager. I do my best to stay out of that as much as possible. All right, guys, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to mount this video card real quick, and then I'm going to give you a look inside this PC so you can actually see what we've got going. And it is impressive to say the least based on what I'm seeing. All right, we're going to move one slot over here. Hang on. As it turns out, it goes into slot 2 and 3 and not 1 and 2. All right, so we're going to move this right here. We're going to seal that off. I don't know if you're going to be get ready for this much power. It's a pretty beastly machine, man. All right. And we're going to get that mounted. And actually, that's going to look beautiful right there. Okay. There it is. Snaps right down in place. Let's get those screws in. Now, they're not entirely necessary, but I always put them in anyway because when you're transporting, things can wiggle. You don't want any wiggling when you're building gaming machines. All right, there we go. And this one. Check it out. Go ahead and mount this plate in here. And like I said, this doesn't actually do much but cover this open slot up here. If you didn't put these screws in, this would actually secure that down, but that's not really something that we're having to worry about. So, all right, I'm going to turn this up on its side so you can see our next step here. Now, we need to get the 8 connectors right here for the PCI Express in. And those are on that same power cable we were looking at. And we're going to run right up the same side that we ran these 2 power connectors. That way we can do it all together. There it is. And as you can see, these cables have multiple. You could literally hook up 2 on each one of these for the video cards. But of course, in this case, we're just going to use 1. I'm actually really glad to see that. If you guys will recall, the last time I used an AppVia power supply, we had issues that it didn't have all the connections that we needed. So we was, yeah, glad that this one does. All right, make sure we got all cables seated. There we go. Snapped into place. And we will cable tie that one back like that. Now, once again, guys, don't look at the cabling yet. That's going to happen later. But right now, we're going for functional. All right, so there we go. Now, the next stage is we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull the old hard drives out of the other computer. That'll actually take a little bit. So, you know what? I'll tell you what we're going to do. At this point in time, we're going to probably go ahead and wrap the live up, and I'll tell you why. At this point, once we put the other hard drives in and turn it on, we're ready to rock. So you've essentially seen the complete build of a gaming PC, minus the cabling, which is the most tedious part by far. But that's what it's going to look like standing up. LED lighting on all of this stuff. And it's going to be pretty darn cool. So this is Nina's first computer. So once it's complete, we'll shoot a little short video over showing her using it. I got to get the other hard drives mounted in here, and then we got to get the operating system put on, and that's it. So, but you have seen the basic build of a gaming PC. Pretty cool, right? But, well, listen, guys, you know the drill. I've always told you this. Down here at the cattle barn, we're all family. And I'm going to do a lot more of these live shows to show people how to build these computers so you're not so scared of them. Just do it. If you want to build them, do it. It's fun. So, hey, come on down here and see us. You know, as always, we will keep a spot warm from you. By the way, we added 10 more vendors. 10. All different stuff. Everything. We got a couple of brand name companies in here too, but I'm not going to tell you what they are. You got to come see. And next weekend, huge surprise. The entire back area back here. Now, you guys have seen my back area. All of this is about to change, and it's going to be fun. Come on down and see us, guys. Have a good one. That's a sneak peek.